Hi, I'm Robin Waite, author of Online Business Startup. And this video is going to be controversial. I'm going to be talking about my reasons why you shouldn't use WordPress. Okay, so I'm going to backtrack ever so slightly from that. The first reason is a bit of a soft touch one, but I think when you're going in to meet a web developer, designer for the first time, you should kind of leave it open to them to be able to give themselves the opportunity to pitch whatever CMS platform which they use. And the reason behind that is because they've probably built hundreds of websites over their time as a web developer, and they will know best what solution matches up with the problems that your business is facing. So if you just march straight into the room and tell them that you want a WordPress website, you might be shooting your foot, because that might not be the best solution for you. It might just be that you need to give that developer the opportunity to maybe suggest some alternative solutions to you which might work better for your business. At the end of the day, this game is about making money, being an entrepreneur. And so you want a website which is going to reflect your business well, regardless of whether that's built on WordPress or whatever it's going to be. So that's just my caveat to start off with. So my first reason why you shouldn't choose WordPress is because it's just a supercharged blogging platform. Basically, it was only ever designed as a blog, and then over the years, the plugins, there are more and more plugins got built for it. All of a sudden now it's turned into this great big CMS platform that everybody talks about. Ultimately, it's not an enterprise level CMS platform. So if your business, if you're serious about your business and you know that it's going to scale, okay, WordPress has its place in terms of solving some time and cost issues which small businesses might have. But if you're serious about your business and you think it's going to get scale, then I would suggest choosing an enterprise level CMS platform. WordPress does work to a certain point, but it lacks a lot of inherent functionality which I feel that a CMS platform should have. And most of that is in terms of the front end quality and the user experience that your customers are going to get when they look at a website. In my opinion, a CMS platform should be inherently secure, yet WordPress, you have to install at least 2 plugins in order to make sure that it is secure. That's just a joke. I mean, that says that WordPress isn't a serious CMS platform, especially if you're serious about your business. And the same goes for if you want to create a high-performing website where the pages load, virtually instantly. Again, you've got to install a whole series of plugins in order to make that happen. And even then, the plugins don't always talk to one another. And you can, I've seen WordPress websites that have got all of the caching turned on, all of the security patches turned on. Yet when somebody tries to switch on a CDN, a content distribution network, which turbocharges any website, I've seen the CDN break the WordPress website, which is not good for any business, because it's just a poor user experience. You could lose customers over something like this, so take it seriously. The second reason is there are thousands of plugins out there for WordPress. Many of them are built by very good programmers. Those I don't have a problem with, but some of them are going to be developed by programmers who have very bad habits. Now, do you want a website built on WordPress with a plugin installed by somebody with bad programming habits? Because the likelihood is that you install that plugin, it's going to break the rest of your website. And if you're not a developer, you're not going to be able to fix it. What this tends to mean is that those plugins probably contain lots of errors, poor site functionality, they don't meet standards compliance. All of these things have an importance when it comes to search engine optimization. Ultimately, what does Google think of your website and what your customers think of your website? If it's not standards compliant, if it's not accessible, if it's not responsive, Google is going to mark your website down. Do you really want that with your website? And I've seen so many, I'd say 99% of the websites out there, WordPress websites specifically, have all of these issues with them. Standards compliance, accessibility, responsiveness. Look it up. You can't always guarantee as well that WordPress developers build their sites to a high standard. So, okay, so you may have eventually be handing your website over to a developer, but those plugins that you've installed on there, are they actually any good? Are you going to end up spending 2 or 3 times the amount of money having those problems fixed? And and it might be that those plugins are just a bit buggy and could probably be fixed, but those poor programmers may not be commenting their code, so you've got no idea what's actually going on. The third reason is that my friend's friend told me that WordPress is the best thing since sliced bread, and I built my website myself using WordPress. A lot of people don't realize when they're asking for WordPress that there are alternatives out there, and they get very, it's funnel vision. WordPress is all they want. If you want to build a relationship with your web designer, perhaps let them suggest a platform, especially if you're very specific about what outcomes you want out of this. If you want your website to be highly optimized for Google, to be quick loading, load on mobile devices without any problems, then maybe you want to consider some of the alternatives to WordPress, or even having a custom CMS platform built for your website. And finally, I think if you're just focused solely on having a WordPress site, then there are lots of WordPress developers out there. I suggest you go and ask somebody who actually specializes purely in WordPress websites, because they will understand how the plugins work and which plugins are going to be best suited to your website. And I know a couple of brilliant WordPress developers, and whenever I get asked for a WordPress website, I've always got a couple of great guys who I know to recommend and refer work to. Because when I speak to customers about optimizing their website from a performance perspective especially, I know that the two guys who I use to build WordPress websites know how to make WordPress work for them in that sense. So, glad I've got that off my plate. It's been kind of in there for a little while, and I just had to get it out there. But don't get me wrong as well, I know that WordPress has its place. There's a lot of great things that you can do with WordPress. There are thousands of plugins out there. So if you want a cheap website set up quickly that you can install e-commerce plugins onto with a customizable theme, then it's the perfect platform for a small business. But don't forget, if you're going to go enterprise and scale your business, then maybe look for something else, or look for a very specialized WordPress developer. So to summarize my key points, why I don't like WordPress, it started out life as just a blogging platform. There are lots of plugins, but a lot of them might be built by very unreliable programmers. There are alternatives out there to WordPress. And finally, I just reiterate, find someone who specializes in WordPress sites specifically, if you can't be swayed away from WordPress. So thanks once again for watching the video. I hope you found some of the tips helpful, and if you've got any questions, then please do leave some comments in the boxes below the video. If you want to be informed about any future videos which I upload, then please click here to subscribe. And then finally, if you haven't already, head on over to Amazon using this button just here to buy the book, Online Business Startup. Thanks for watching. I'm Robin Waite.